here's part 2 of the Gemmy Leatherface repair. Part 2 was supposed to be a motor restoration, but that got pushed back to a few days because I ordered the wrong motors. What's happening with the motors is just Frankensteining parts. It's not really a whole motor restoration, it's just replacing some parts, but I'll continue that with part 3. But part 2 is this chainsaw repair, because it is the easiest one, so might as well just get it out of the way. So here's the new chainsaw, has the blade attached, nothing's wrong with the new one. And then here's the older chainsaw, completely broken, and there's a split gear somewhere in there, or at least a gear that's about to split in this. So this gearbox and the motor is going to be used for parts in the future for any other Gemmy item. This is going to be used for the Leatherface. Now, if you ever do the Frankenstein method that I'm doing, if you ever have to work on these chainsaws, I'm going to show you a good example. This chainsaw doesn't have any resistors or diode beads attached, but this one here has the diode beads. So if you're ever connecting this chainsaw to the original Gemmy Bubba or Leatherface, take out these diode beads or any resistors onto the motor, because you don't really need that if it's already on the motherboard. So take out the diode beads, keep the I don't know what they call these, but keep these orange things on, because that's supposed to reduce some kind of thing with the motor. So you can keep these on, but take out diode beads and resistors. But other than that, it was a pretty easy swap so far. Just all I had to worry about was the handle. So, and to make a quick note, this here is a Rubies Texas Chainsaw Massacre chainsaw. But here's the interesting thing. Rubies actually bought the mold from Gemmy. So this here is an original Gemmy chainsaw. Well, this one here is branded by Rubies, but it was actually used for the Gemmy chainsaw. So it's pretty much Ruby buying out the original mold. So this is a Rubies chainsaw, while this is a Gemmy chainsaw. So everything on the Rubies one is the exact same as this one. The only difference is that this one is a separately sold item with different trigger buttons. So there's an actual motherboard in the Rubies one, so you have to do some replacing and tearing of wires. But other than that, it's pretty much easy right now. I'll show you the other half of the chainsaw right now, so just give me 1 second while I cut. And I am done with the cutting. Here's the new chainsaw's chassis. What was I going to say? I lost my mind. Okay, where was I? So this is the new chassis. Here's the old one. The old one is going to be used for parts because it has this speaker, and this speaker is used on a lot of Gemmy items. So I'm going to keep the chassis and the speaker. Well, at least I might just keep the speaker, throw away the chassis. And then this one here has a smaller speaker. I'm just going to leave everything, what was the word? I'm just going to leave the speaker alone in this one because it's brand new. But what I'm going to have to do is unsolder all these wires, and the little chip there was actually a motherboard, but remove the chip too. So pretty much everything in this gets gutted out except for the speaker. And the good news is I actually have a photo of how this thing was wired up before I messed around with it. So this will be pretty easy to mimic. Well, not mimicking this, I'm mimicking this, my bad. This will be easy to mimic because I have photos of the original diagram of this. So yeah, that's just what's happening so far. And I also broke a wire there. There's a white and black wire that I broke by accident because I store this away, and the plastic cut off the wiring, so I broke some wires, so I'm gonna have to fix that real quick. But pretty much I'm keeping this piece alone because this is already wired up. I just have to take off some pieces and resolder some wires because I accidentally broke two, so I'm gonna have to redo the whole thing. But yeah, I'm gonna cut it now for now, and I'll be back in an hour my time for you guys in like 2 seconds, so wish me luck. So I just got done soldering the old speaker into the chainsaw, This is the old speaker from the Rubies Chainsaw, and here's the old speaker case for the Rubies Chainsaw. I have a bunch of scraps here, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. This is what I did so far. I still have to hook up the motor wires. I'm going to be doing that in a second. But yeah, there's the old Gemmy motor. I couldn't use that other speaker because that speaker was super bad. It was super scratchy. So I just kept the Leatherface speaker. Yeah, so that's just it so far. I also added the metal handlebar on the Rubies Chainsaw 2 because I want to make it look like it's original still. I don't want to make it look like I actually bought a new chainsaw and modified it to make it look like Leatherface is brand new. I want to make sure it still has that integrity look to it. So without further ado, I will turn them on. I do have some wires unplugged on the circuitry, so the only thing that really works is the volume basically, and probably some other functions, but it's pretty much just areas where I have wires exposed, so nothing bad should happen. But yeah, here's the speaker with it plugged in. I'm gonna be quiet for this part. So yeah, next thing is just to hook up the chainsaw, and pretty much it's done. I'm still goofing around with it, so I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'll let you guys know if I do any other mods. But yeah, so far that's it. For wiring diagram, let's see here. The green wire is the negative, the red one's the positive for the speaker, and for the chainsaw, if I remember right, the black one's positive and the white one's negative, but I'm not sure yet. You'll figure out in the next segment. But yeah, wish me luck with the chainsaw, or the blade at least. So quick update. I tried to use the Rubies gearbox and it didn't work. There's something going on with these two components, and it's not tight enough for the gear's connectivity, so there's some kind of issue going on. So I decided to just use the old gearbox. It's 10 times better than whatever this cheap quality is. So this took about an hour and a half. I did take a break too, because I've been doing this all day. But I did take a break, and I finally found the issue. The issue is that this is better built than this. So I'm Frankensteining the old stuff onto the new chassis of the chainsaw, and we shall see what happens after that. So be back in a second with a jump cut. So after some tedious work, I've managed to basically put the old mechanism from the Bubba chainsaw, Leatherface's chainsaw, his older chainsaw, onto the new one. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to secure his gearbox holder, because as you can tell, the screw holes don't align. So I'll figure something out. I tried drilling my own hole here, and that backfired, so I'm not going to do that. I'm probably just going to put tape around the exposed areas, so then when I work on him, it'll be 10 times easier. But yeah, it's just pretty easy work. I can plug him in right now, show you guys what he does, and then I have to reassemble everything, and that's pretty much it. He's 100% done with the chainsaw. So without further ado, let's do a short demo. See you guys in a little bit. Oh yeah, quick note before I put this all up. Make sure you make your own little cutaway for the wires, so then when you put the chainsaw back together, it doesn't clip any wires. Just a quick note on that. You can't see it, but I essentially made a square cutout on the bottom so the wires can feed underneath. So make sure you give the wires some wiggle room if you're putting this thing back together, because I had the two wires break because of tight clearance. So yeah, I'm going to be putting this chainsaw back together, and I'll see you guys in a second. Now here is the masterpiece of the Frankenstein Leatherface chainsaw. As you could tell, the chassis is the new stuff. The insides is still the same, especially the handle. Now, the thing about Frankensteining parts and being crafty about it is that it makes it difficult to repair, because the first time you do it, you nail it, and then the second time you have to open it up, something else happens. But in this case, this is just a toy chainsaw. I'm hoping the gears would last for a while. I'm using the original Leatherface gears. There's no cracks or anything on it. But I'm hoping it would last for another 5-6 years before I have to open it up. I did re-lubricate it too. The new stuff, like the new gears and stuff, I had issues with trying to make it work with the chainsaw, so I had to use a bunch of the original components. And like I said, I tried using the new speaker in the chainsaw, didn't work, so I just used the normal Leatherface speaker in the Gemmy item. So, but yeah, pretty much 50-50 of it is original and the other half is not original. I spent a long time trying to get this together. I could have just bought a normal Gemmy chainsaw, but there was none available when I was on the store, or at least on the market for a chainsaw. And I kind of wanted to do something a little different, I guess, if that's the right word. I could have just waited for a new Gemmy chainsaw to pop up on eBay or something, but I don't have the patience to wait for a $300 chainsaw to come in place. Or not come in place, but to be at the right time that I need it. So this Rubies Chainsaw that is made by Gemmy, it's basically a retool. This Gemmy retooled Rubies Chainsaw was the perfect donor for what I'm looking for. It's not like the original, it's not as big as the original, but everything else inside of it is just like the original Gemmy Chainsaw, except you have to do some modifications for things to fit and stuff like that, because this thing is smaller. But yeah, putting this thing together was pretty easy. It was just trying to figure out the happy spot. I did accidentally break the speaker casting, so there's like a bunch of glue marks everywhere, but no one's going to see that. I don't really care about that. I was more worried about this thing not going together. And one little cool part is this is the original Gemmy Chainsaw's handle. I didn't want to use that plastic one because it just looked so bad. It was just spray painted with gray, and it just didn't match with the look that I was looking for. So I just put on the original handlebar. If you do this, make sure you take your time trying to measure and calculate everything correctly, because I forgot to do that. So it took a long time for me to put everything back together because I forgot to measure this and everything. So thankfully, I just guessed it right and it just fit right in. So yeah, the last thing I have to do, though, I forgot to do it, is put the screws in the chainsaw, or the blade at least. I already put 2 of them at each end, so that's fine. I just forgot to put it on the sides. So yeah, I'll just give a rundown what I did. As you can tell, my boneyard's there. But where was I? So the rundown was I destroyed the original chainsaw for parts. I salvaged as much as I could with that chainsaw to put it all into the new chainsaw. I tried using the originality of the Rubies one. It's just terrible, bad luck. So I just decided to use the original components from Leatherface. And it was pretty easy. There is certain things you have to do, like taking out the dial beads, which is the blue thing on these toy chainsaws, because you don't need that for this Leatherface animatronic, because there's already dial beads in the motherboard, so you don't want to have extra ones because that can cause problems. Another one was I accidentally broke 2 wires, so I had to fix that. That was pretty easy. I just got heat shrink. I basically just cut the ends of the wires, have the nerves exposed, just soldered that on, and then put a heat shrink. That's pretty much it. I mean, most of it is just general electrical work. Well, the other half was just trying to be crafty on how to do everything. So I'm kind of glad that this all worked out. I was testing him 10 minutes ago before I started recording this, so yeah, I guess the last thing I can do is show you guys the chainsaw in action. I do have a side note, but I did super glue one side of the handlebars, both sides of the handlebars, not like both sides, but like I super glued this part down here. This part's left unsuper glued. This part's left unsuper glued so I can take things apart easier. So one side's super glued, the other side's not, basically. But yeah, that's just a temporary fix. I'm gonna have to figure a way out. I got to figure a better solution for that. But everything's being held on by tension, so I should be okay. Well, yeah, let's plug her in. I will show you guys the beautiness of what I've done, if that's the right word. I'm being silly right now because I spent like 6 hours doing this, so I'm losing my mind. But anyhow, I'll stop talking. Here's the demo. Oh, wow. Sorry, that was short. So yeah, one part of the restoration done. Still got to do the head and body turn. I'll be doing that around this weekend too. I'm going to be doing some motherboard work. So that's for the past time because I ordered the wrong motors. I was supposed to fix the motors this week, but that backfired. So motor repairs and stuff like that won't happen until the weekend anyways. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted if I fix the body turn and the head turn issue, because from what people are saying it's a transistor problem, and I agree with them, but my multimeter's dead, so I can't really tell. This is just all guessing, but I still have a bunch of other components I have to test anyways. But yeah, I'll just keep you guys updated about the next step of this repair progress, and I hope this series will turn out to be amazing for you guys, because this isn't just for me, it's also for you guys if you ever want to be crafty with this stuff.